Environmental and climate change resilience, a strategic priority of government in this financial year, implementing programs to protect the natural environment while encouraging everyone to adjust their lifestyles to deal with extended changes in weather patterns, or simply put, climate change. Why?
No sector can be considered safe, as all sectors are at risk from climate change.
And so government continues to work on a number of programs to boost Jamaica's resilience to climate change. One such initiative is the Adaptation Program and Financing Mechanism for the Pilot Program for Climate Change Resilience (PPCR), a 5-year program being implemented by the Ministry of Water, Land, Environment and Climate Change and coordinated by the Planning Institute of Jamaica. In July 2011, the Government of Jamaica and the Inter-American Development Bank (IDB) entered into a partnership to implement Phase 1 of the PPCR. Jamaica was then able to prepare different documentation to set the groundwork for the country's response to climate change, like the 2012 State of the Climate Report.
We are faced with the need to undertake major adjustments which are costly.
So in February 2015, the government again joined forces with the IDB to implement Phase 2 of the PPCR. The Finance Minister and IDB country representative to Jamaica signed an agreement that led to Jamaica receiving approximately $18 million from the IDB. $10 million was in the form of a loan, while approximately $7.9 million came in the form of a grant. The government of Jamaica also contributed about $2 million to the project, bringing total funding of the PPCR to approximately $20 million.
The purpose of the program overall is to mainstream climate change into development planning, provide information on new approaches to be pursued, including climate financing, to overcome the challenges of climate change, and disseminating the lessons learned.
Climate change considerations will also be incorporated into a number of priority sectors like health, agriculture and tourism. In essence, all sectors will have to think about climate change in executing their duties. For example, farmers have to consider drought, which is sometimes due to climate change, when planting their crops.
We cannot continue to rely primarily on rain-fed agriculture in order to feed ourselves and other things.
Therefore, under Phase 2 of the PPCR, an extensive program which includes rainwater harvesting is scheduled to begin in the Rio Minna watershed in Clarendon.
Farmers, women in particular, to do some reforestation, but also to develop water harvesting mechanisms so that what was experienced in the last few years over the drought in Jamaica, we can mitigate some of the impact of a more devastating situation. As we know, climate change is real, and every year the effects seem to be more and more devastating.
Farmers will also be introduced to a technique called aquaponics.
You have water that is used, in the fish ponds. And when that water becomes fertilized by the droppings of the fish, it is then pumped into beds where vegetables are grown, and this, call it fertilized water, provide nutrients for the plants and the vegetables. And by the time the water percolates through the soil material, it would have extracted some of the ingredients that would normally make the water less conducive for the fish's survival. In other words, purifying the water to some extent, taking out the extra nitrates from the fish droppings, and then that water will be circulated back to the fish pond. And we are hoping that that will be one mechanism where we can help households to produce food crops with minimal amounts of water, using minimal space, but at the same time doing it in such a way that will enable us to survive even under conditions where we have very low levels of rainfall.
The PPCR will also create financing mechanisms to assist small businesses in making adjustments to fit the realities of climate change. The Government of Jamaica, partnering with the IDB to implement Phase 2 of the Adaptation Program and Financing Mechanism for the Pilot Program for Climate Change Resilience (PPCR). Another initiative aimed at achieving strategic priority number 6, environmental and climate change resilience.